Hi, Ernie back with you with Mi2Sense. So I see that there are a couple of marches that are coming up. Now, I listen to channel 126 on Sirius XM Urban View, and I listen to them pretty much religiously. We lost the star earlier this year, that being the late but great Joe Madison, who was the morning host, the Black Eagle, and Radio Hall of Famer. May he rest in peace. But I bring him up because he pretty much stated many times that there are moments and there are movements. So with these marches that are coming up and so forth, they are moments. Boycott is a movement. Case in point, mainstream media, which I have not looked at since 10:30 election night, refuse to look at, and a lot of people are boycotting mainstream media. Their ratings are going down. They've been chasing fool's gold for a while, and I guess people are tired of it. See, boycotts are effective as long as you ride it out, because the difference between a movement and a moment is that the moment, you feel good for the moment. But a movement, you make sacrifices for the better of the good, for the long haul. Think about the Montgomery boycott in 1955. They put together that boycott in a few days. This was in 1955. No social media or anything like that. But they put that thing together. And it became highly successful because of the sacrifices. And you found out who were your true allies and who weren't. So, the boycott of mainstream media. Mainstream media probably don't know when it started, but it started with the birtherism. They rode this idiot's coattails to the Republican nomination. And then they rode his coattails to the presidency, because they're the reason that he became president in 2016. So he's president. And of course, they never put any pressure on him like they did previous administrations, or asked questions. Treated him with kid gloves. Always talked to him while a helicopter or whatever whirring around noise. And he was very brash with him. So they continued to ride that coattail. And then the pandemic hit. And the pandemic, he bumbled, totally bumbled. Almost 1 million people died under his watch. But they never, when he did, or when he was forced to at least speak, he talked about putting bleach and stuff like that. They never really put him in a position that they would put anybody else. So once again, they treated him like a kid with kid gloves. So he loses the election in 2020, causes an insurrection on our Capitol on January 6th. He's the result of that. And he always screamed, during his presidency, fake news, fake news, fake news. If it didn't agree with him, it was fake news. It didn't matter, even though it was real news. They never fact-checked him or anything like that. So he loses the election. He has a fit like a child. The media rides him. Meanwhile, the Biden-Harris administration has to dig us out of this hole. They put together things. And it come to think of it, they've done more things than any other administration in history. But the media never talked about it. They talked about the idiot. He's no longer president. Now he has these court cases, or whatever the case may be. Now, as a kid growing up, I always said the bad news is always on the front page of the paper, and the good news is in the small little section in the back of the paper. So we highlight the bad news. If it bleeds, it leads, that kind of thing. Sensationalization. But mainstream media following fool's gold, because that's what they were doing, following fool's gold. They need the eyeballs, they need the advertising, everything. So it didn't matter about us, the people. They looking at the dollars. We can make more money. We get more advertisers because we're following this fool. We know he's a fool, but he gets us ratings. And so they continue to ride this guy's coattails. And during the time that he was not president, these last 4 years, he was always 80% of the time either the lead story, or in the second segment. So they rode his coattails. And during this election season, they dogged out Joe Biden. They let the people talk about Genocide Joe without talking about him bumbling the pandemic here in the United States, where almost 1 million people lost their lives. But it was Genocide Joe. Then he became Old Joe. And he bumbled on that debate. Well, they went after him. So Joe moves away. Here comes Kamala. Kamala has to do things within 107 days. Kind of impossible task, but we as black people who pay black tax, that means we work just twice as hard as other people just to be level. Pay black tax. She put together a coalition, the whole 9 yards, ran an effective campaign within 107 days. Say what you will, but she ran an effective campaign within 107 days. But it was always leaning towards she got the tough questions. She had to deal with the media, and she went everywhere, didn't dodge anybody. Him, in the meantime, they didn't even start bringing up that he mentioned, I don't need any of your votes. I already got enough votes. They never really mentioned that. They never really drove that because they're chasing that fool's gold. Well, we're in a boycott. Mainstream media, the number one place to boycott. And there's going to be quite a few boycotts that come about. Black Friday comes to mind. So, you want to have a march? Go ahead and have a march. Go ahead and have that feel-good moment. Let's boycott. Because we got to fight fire with fire. So we got to make some sacrifices. It's called sacrifices. And if you think you can't do without, just think about the things that's going to be taken away from you. So you might as well jump on the bandwagon of boycott. You can go to your little rallies or whatever the case may be. Moments. We need movement. So let's continue the movement. It's being effective on mainstream media. Now let's go after the culprits who helped him get into office. The other ones, the rich fucks. Those motherfuckers. They got to pay, and the only way they can pay is hitting them in the pocket. Boycott. Think of things. Boycott. Those are movements. I'm Ernie, and I just gave you my 2 cents. Until the next time I talk to you folks again, you all take care, smile, spread joy, spread love, and love one another. Build community. Ciao for now.